Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever purchased a tool and known within the first 60 seconds of using it that you just wasted hundreds of dollars, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. In this video, I'm going to do a head-to-head comparison of the Milwaukee and the Dewalt 15 gauge cordless nailers. I was extremely surprised after I purchased this Milwaukee nailer. I had much higher expectations for it and it really disappointed me. So I'm going to dig into what I found, the biggest differences between these two nailers, and what you need to know before you make your purchase decision. So the most enlightening thing to me that I found after using these different nailers was how the technology is better for different size nails. I have used the Dewalt 18 gauge and 15 gauge nailers extensively, and they use a flywheel design. So essentially you're either pulling the trigger or actuating the nose, and that's going to fire up the flywheel, and then whenever you either pull the trigger or actuate the nose again, it's going to fire that nail. So that stored energy from the flywheel is being released into the nail. Completely different technology on the Milwaukee style nailers. And this technology first came out back in the day with the Senko Fusion nailers. And that is a cylinder that is pressurized and sealed with nitrogen, and it allows the gun to essentially always stay pressurized and be able to fire instantly. Now what I found, what was most interesting was, I love that technology on 18 gauge nailers. I used the nitrogen technology on the Senko Fusion several years ago now, and I loved the Senko Fusion 18 gauge. It shot really well for me. I love that gun. The reason I got out of it was simply to get into the Dewalt gun so I'd be on the same battery platform. So that same technology is in this Milwaukee gun now, and I find it shoots an 18 gauge nail really well. It's really nice. Now the thing that really disappointed me was with the Milwaukee 15 gauge. I don't feel like it shoots the nail very well with that nitrogen technology, and that really surprised me. I actually found, and I've used this Dewalt 15 gauge for probably at least 5, 6, basically since Dewalt came out with these guns, I've been shooting them. I've worn a few of them out, but I know they are good guns. As long as you don't get a lemon, they'll shoot a lot of nails for a few years before they wear out. And it'll set a 15 gauge nail just fine. So we all know how much superior an air powered nail gun is. It just sets the nail so nice. It's more consistent, leaves a more consistent hole size, depth. You get all those benefits with shooting air. Whenever you come into the cordless realm, you're going to sacrifice some of that because that consistent air power isn't there. So that's where the technology that you're using in the gun is really going to determine your experience with shooting the nails. And that's where I come back to the nitrogen cylinder on these 18 gauge nailers is fantastic, and you don't have the annoying wind-up time that you do with the Dewalt technology with the flywheel design, which their 18 gauge nailer has. However, what I've found is once you get into these larger size nails, the 15 gauge DA style nails, that nitrogen technology just struggles a little bit. It doesn't seem like it quite has the oomph to really set a nail nicely. With air nailers, if you're using a 15 gauge nailer, you can just go along, bam, 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 and it'll just shoot those nails so nice. It's fantastic. You don't get that at all with this Milwaukee gun. You have to be really focused, really hold the nail gun in position. You can't limp wrist it, and you've got to apply consistent pressure to get a good nail set. I found I much prefer the flywheel technology on the 15 gauge nailer. So what I'm doing now is I am using the Milwaukee 18 gauge, which I've loved, been using this for quite a while now, with a Dewalt battery and the adapter. I'll link that in the notes. But the flywheel design, I feel, is so much more superior to set a 15 gauge nail. Hey guys, real quick, this content is completely made possible by your support. Whenever you buy tools through the affiliate links in the video description, as well as the top comment in the comment section, I get a kickback from Amazon, and that helps make these videos worth my time to make. So if you find these videos helpful, please use those links. It makes a big difference, and I appreciate it a lot. So this is one of those things, it's really just hard to describe in a video, but if you actually hold the guns in your hands and shoot them, you know right away which one is setting the nails better, which one feels better shooting. And for me, the Dewalt 15 gauge, even though it certainly has some flaws, it's so much better shooting than this Milwaukee, in my opinion. The difference was so significant whenever I started using this Milwaukee. I knew instantly that I was going to go back to the Dewalt. And my other one had worn out, and then I had ordered one that was a lemon that I had to send back, and that's what pushed me to try this Milwaukee. But literally, I instantly ordered another Dewalt because I just knew this was not going to be the answer for me. That middle one is the Milwaukee gun. That side hole is the Milwaukee gun. Again, that side hole is the Milwaukee gun, and you can see just the size of the hole difference is absolutely awful with this gun. And it's not the depth adjustment. I've played with it. It just leaves a huge hole. Now let's get into the nuances of these guns, the things that you're either gonna love or hate about these different guns. One of the first things I noticed with the Milwaukee 15 gauge nailer is I wouldn't even call it a hook, it's more like a clip. And you ain't gonna hook it on much because it's so small. That's kind of annoying. It's not as large as the Dewalt, which you get right here. I can hook this on scaffolding and different things, no problem. It's easy to find your belt if you wanna hang it on something. The Milwaukee is much smaller. The other really annoying thing to me is the location of the hook on the Milwaukee. I keep a rafter hook on every nail gun that I use pretty much, and it's always at the base of the gun by where the air nozzle would typically go. So with muscle memory, I'm always using that motion to hang the nail gun on something. And with the Milwaukee, I really had to relearn how to hang the gun because it's on the top of the gun instead of at the base. So I'm not a fan of that at all. Like I said, I like to have the hook in the same location on all my guns so there's no thinking and you can just hang it. Didn't care for that at all about the Milwaukee. Now the next huge thing you're gonna wanna consider whenever you're purchasing these guns is the tip of the nail gun. You can see these two nail guns have radically different tip styles. This is more of a direct contact, smart point, whatever you want to call it, but the Dewalt does not have a large rubber tip. Now, the disadvantage of that is in really soft woods like pine, you need to be careful because this tip will dent that kind of material, and you can't jam it into material to apply pressure the way you can with these larger rubber tips. This is my air-powered 15 gauge. I love this gun. I love the rubber tip because whenever I'm running and gunning and nailing off baseboard or casing, I can kind of hit it hard, and that helps generate some force that I feel helps draw the material into the wall a little bit better. Not the end of the world though on these Dewalts. I've gotten by using this Dewalt just fine for years. Not a huge deal. So either of these tips are fine for me. Problem I found with the Milwaukee, the tip size is gigantic. You can see this Hitachi / Metabo style nailer. In my mind, this Hitachi has a large tip. This is a large rubber tip. But this Milwaukee is twice the size as this one. And I mean, you're in a completely different world whenever you compare the Dewalt tip to this Milwaukee. Now, why does that matter? The first thing that I found with using this Milwaukee tip was it's much harder to really get a feel of where I was placing the nail. It's just so large, you don't have a good sight line to the front of the nailer, and I found that really annoying, really difficult to precisely nail somewhere whenever I needed to. So then what I need to do, since I can't angle it this way, I need to be able to shoot it like this, but I can't because of the door here. And if I turn it like this, again, I can't get close over here, and I can't really pivot it either. So you're really limited on what you can do with this gun. Here's the other big issue with this tip. I'm a stickler on not leaving nail heads proud. That will make the painter hate you, it makes your work look like crap, and if I have to stop every 5th nail to set a nail head because it's proud, I get really frustrated really quickly. The problem with a tip, a rubber tip this large, is that if you don't have the gun perfectly perpendicular to that workpiece, as you turn the gun, the actual drive pin gets further away from the material for whenever you actually pull that trigger, and that affects your depth. So it's no longer going to be setting at a consistent depth. So you compare this gun to a smart tip like the Dewalt. The Dewalt, you can put it on your workpiece and you can rotate it a really wide range, and it's still going to set that nail in the material. But because the tip on the Milwaukee is so large, any rotation, it brings that drive pin further away, and then you're not setting the nail at the depth that you need, and that's really frustrating. The other thing to consider is how tight you can get into certain spaces. I was installing split jam doors with this Milwaukee nailer and absolutely hated it, because with the split jam, I need to be able to place a nail pretty close to the door stop. With this head, this tip being so large, I'm automatically a 1/2 inch away plus. Even if I'm bumped all the way up to the doorstop, I found it was really annoying not being able to get into tight spaces with this style tip. Whereas again, with the Dewalt, you have this smart point style tip. You can get in tight wherever you want to go. So 2 very large differences between these 2 guns is the tip, and it's kind of a deal breaker in my mind. Even if this gun was setting nails perfectly, that tip size is just really annoying. So there's that. The next point that you're really going to want to consider that I found I didn't like about the Milwaukee was the size of the hole that it is leaving. Again, because of the size of the tip, that means you've got to have your depth adjusted fairly deep, because if you rock the tool at all and put it at an angle whenever you shoot, the drive pin is further away, that's going to make your nail hole proud. With having to set the drive deeper, the pin is going further into the wood, first off, which is going to leave a larger hole. Second off, I found even if I set it just right, set the depth just right, it's still leaving just a big hole, and I don't know why. So don't like that at all. Don't like my work looking sloppy. I go as far to file down the drive pins on my air nailers so that it doesn't leave a hole any larger than the nail head. So to have a hole 2 or 3 times larger with this gun, I didn't like that at all. I was also getting a lot of double strikes where I'd shoot the gun and then it would actually leave a second hole from the drive pin hitting again. I don't know what's going on with that or why that is, but I wasn't able to tweak that and make it stop doing that either. So don't like sloppy work, don't like giant holes, makes a big hole for the painter to try and salvage. So not a fan in that regard either. I do find that the Dewalt leaves a much more manageable size hole. It's not as good as the air nailer, but still reasonable. And I think because of the tip size and being able to hit a wide array of angles whenever you shoot and still have it set the nail consistently, that also helps it leave a better nail hole size. Lastly, I want to touch on just how does the gun feel when it shoots. And I found the Milwaukee just felt terrible whenever it shoots the gun. It hits really hard and it feels really sloppy. It doesn't feel smooth at all for whatever reason. It's just got a hard bang to it that I just didn't care for, quite frankly. The other thing I found is I had to have really good contact to ensure that it was gonna set that nail correctly. And the more I have to focus on how I'm holding the nail or nailing stuff off, you know, that's no good. Don't like that. The Dewalt, though the flywheel design, it seems like it's more annoying. For a 15 gauge nailer, I think that it is actually superior. And that was probably the most surprising thing to me, and the biggest takeaway that I had from using these two nailers was that I think the flywheel just sets the nail a lot better and a lot more smoothly whenever it comes to these larger 15 gauge nails. And again, I could show you this as I'm shooting these nails. The hole size is literally half the size with the Dewalt, and I think part of that is just because of how much smoother it drives that nail in, whereas the Milwaukee is just, it hits hard and I don't know what it is, but I know that I don't like it. I was really surprised how little I liked this nailer. Like I said, I instantly went back to the Dewalt after purchasing this. So I hope you guys have found this review helpful. I hope it helps you spend your money more wisely. I have, like I said, I've been using these Dewalt 15 gauge for a handful of years now. I know they're good nailers. They can shoot well. They'll do the job. They do wear out. So for me, the amount of nails I shoot, I do have to replace them every couple years. Recently, I had purchased a couple and I had a couple lemons. One of them, the trigger mechanism did not work for whatever reason, and one of them was having feed issues. Returned them, and I was sick of that. I was unhappy, so I bought this Milwaukee, thinking that maybe I could find greener pastures with this gun. Unfortunately, that was not the case. So here I am with a Milwaukee that I'll probably never use for anything, and went back to Dewalt. So there's that. Hope it helps. Let me know if you guys got any questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.